Good morning and welcome, Unity of Gainesville. And welcome to all of you who are either here in our sanctuary or with us live streaming through Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube. We are so delighted that you have chosen to fellowship with us here today on this first Sunday of June. Do you know it is National Yo-Yo Day? I certainly didn't. I didn't even know there was one. But on a different note, we need to do some relevant announcements. Please do regularly check in on our unitygainesville.org website and on our eBlast Unity Messenger. For there, Sue Henry Young is continuing to update our church news and the board notices. And you also would notice that there are continuing classes, such as Ann Young's Qigong class, as well as new classes, such as Carla's Metaphysical 3. And I think the other piece that really needs to be recognized here is the amazing job Barbara Gordon and company have been doing working with our bookstore. It is a great opportunity to purchase any of the spiritual unity books by Fillmore, Geyer, Butterworth. If you can believe, they are at 50 cents to $4. So, what I call a song, okay? So, it is indeed an opportunity for us to consider a way in which we can support the church, renew our bookstore, and please also remember that we have ongoing goals through our GoFundMe page. Since this is indeed, can you believe it, the 6th month of the year already, and indeed, since it is a first Sunday, we are welcoming licensed Unity teacher Carla Kama as she continues her series of talks on the 12 powers, integrating these metaphysical teachings with both examples from the male and female disciples. The sixth talk on power is entitled Imagination Consciousness. In Unity, these 12 powers provide a system for spiritual growth, a foundation for developing our fullest potential while creating a life that is richly blessed. We can consciously choose to use our hearts and minds to link to these divine aspects within. For each of us innately has these 12 powers. This morning, Kathy DeWitt is providing our music. As you know, she has provided music for Unity churches for many years and is a professional musician in her own right. So we are so blessed to have her supporting our service. I am serving as the worship partner this morning. I am Rupali Robinson. So now I'm going to give up the mic and ask that Carla offer our opening prayer.
Thank you, Rupali. Let's just all let's see. Don't want to be in the shadow really. So just take a deep breath. Let it out through first nose. Let's do that again. Taking a deep breath. This has been proven scientifically to lower your stress,
hormones. So as we breathe in thanksgiving for the life of a dear sister who has passed over into another dimension last night. And so there is grief that we may miss her, and at the same time, we are so happy that she has found her true love. And so let's take another breath and bless this life. We are blessed, and therefore we can be a blessing in this world. In thanksgiving for the sweetness this morning. In thanksgiving for all those who are connected to us right now, whether virtually or in person. We welcome everyone. We welcome all the religions of the world. We that have a path to enlightenment. We know that there are many paths up that mountain, but there is only one top and one center. And once we get there, we are all the same. And so we welcome them. And we honor all the unity churches throughout the world today. We bless them. And we wish them prosperity and love and peace. And so as we pray, we imagine them, all of our loving blessings being received in one way or another. Our theme for today is imagination, consciousness. And so we are truly blessed, and it is so. Amen.
So when I heard about the theme for today, imagination, it made me think about one of my favorite books, The Little Prince. How many people have read that? So the music I was playing earlier is actually music I wrote for a play that was put on of The Little Prince. And I thought that for our opening song, we would do Open the Eyes of My Heart. And I wanted to say this quote from The Little Prince. There's so many great quotes from that book, but this one is one of my favorites. It says, "It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye." Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. That whole thing again. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. See you high and lifted up, shining in all of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. I want to see you. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. I want to see you. See you high and lifted up, shining in all of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing holy, holy, holy. And now you can either sing holy, holy, holy or the open the eyes of my heart part. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Holy, holy, holy. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. 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 That's why you see me.
I just want to check with Gabe. The green light is on. Are you hearing it? Thank you. Now let's simply remember that sacred presence in our lives by saying together our unity statement of faith. There is one power and one presence in the universe and in my life. God, the good, omnipotence. Today's daily word, auspiciously, is healing. When we release limiting thoughts or pictures in our mind by imagining something greater, we are faithfully remembering the divine nature that dwells in us as us. The affirmation is my thoughts, words, and actions affirm divine life. The scripture is from Luke chapter 8, verse 48. Jesus said unto her, Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go now in peace. Today, I give thanks for the constant activity of divine healing life, especially when my body is experiencing illness. To bolster my awareness of my capacity for healing, I place my attention on my inherent wholeness. I affirm life in my word, in my thoughts, and in my actions as I care for my body and meet its needs. My faith assures me that illness is not the truth of me, nor is it an enduring reality. Through my actions, I am affirming wholeness as my true nature and encouraging greater healing. Even when I am not facing an illness, I greet each day, blessing my body, affirming this wholeness and the ongoing activity of divine life in every organ and every cell. I give thanks for the gift of divine life. And again, let's repeat the affirmation. First, I'll say it, and then you can join me. My thoughts, words, and actions affirm divine life. My thoughts, words, and actions affirm divine life.
Can't really have a theme of imagination without doing this song by John Lennon. Imagine this is heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. There'd be nothing to kill or die for. That goes for religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. Ah, you may say I'm a dreamer. Oh, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if we can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man and woman. Imagine all the people sharing all this world. You may say I'm a dreamer. Oh, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one. Imagine.
Supposed to speak into this. I'm used to doing this on Zoom, and I just speak into my computer. Can you hear it okay? Gabe? All right, good. All right. Thank you again, Kathy. I love working with Kathy. She always comes through with everything that just fits perfectly into the talk. I love that song so much. I have it on the license plate on my car. It says Imagine. It's got that little cartoon of John Lennon. And so I have a vanity plate, right? And imagine me trying to explain this. This is completely off book, but imagine me trying to explain this to the people at the DMV, because when you have something on your vanity plate, you have to explain it to them now so that it's not, evil or bad or whatever. And so I have MIE on one side and EIM on the other. And she said, well, what does this mean? And I took a breath and I said, in my church, it's the Holy Trinity: mind, idea, expression. And she's going, okay. And I said, but let me finish. All right? Because I'm a teacher, right? And I said, the EIM is expression. I am. I'm an expression of the Holy Trinity. And so, but then she says, okay, you're fine. We'll do it, So anyway, imagine. That's my story. It's my story about imagine. I've had a lot of fun. Yeah, had a lot of fun. Okay, so I can understand why Rapali was standing over here because those lights are so bright. But I want to read to you this little prayer that I made for the first 6 superpowers that we have. And I did this to kind of use it as a review, because if you haven't been to all 6 of them, you can go ahead and check them out by going on the website, and then you can see them, the other ones, because they're all cumulative. They build on one another. And so here's the prayer that I made. Okay, take a breath. I have the faith and the strength to keep the faith, to use my wisdom and discernment to harmonize my thoughts through active love, to take dominion, to allow my Christ self to be expressed as I put it into place, what I have imagined through intuitive communication and seeing with spirit. Amen. Okay, so that's our review for today of all those. Imagination, as you can imagine, is my favorite. I love it. Let me introduce you to the power of imagination, because today we're going to build a relationship with it. So I think you guys need to be introduced and learn how we can use it, and how God, Spirit, the universe, whatever you want to call it, uses us. Do you know that we're being used? Yeah, we are. I see it. Anybody wants to say amen, that's okay too. Yeah. So imagination is an attribute of God. Okay. God is a creative process. In unity, we're taught that. Spirit has imagined us into being. Spirit is the dreamer, and we're the dreams, in other words. Image and likeness. We are the image and likeness of Spirit, right? We all have free access to God, and I want you to remember that. 24/7, it's open. God is open. We all have free access. We don't have to pay. All right. Therefore, we have free access to divine imagination. The formative power of thought, if you want to get kind of formal with it, the molding power of the mind. It is that which gives shape, tone, color to thinking. What color are your thoughts? Have you ever thought about that? What color are your thoughts? Every word, every combination of words has back of it an image or a thought. This whole talk was an image. See, I'm used to having this on my computer. Now it's on paper. So where's it located? Does anybody know where this is located in the body? Yeah, it's right here between the eyebrows. And in the brain, there's a cluster of things. Neurons and all that. And so that's this right here is the center of it. Imagination travels down through this one, which we had last month, which is the power of dominion. It's the word. I speak the word. Into the heart, which represents what? You got to know that. What? What does the heart represent? What power? Love. That's a thing. Now I've got feedback. You didn't on Zoom. So, a sincere spiritual consciousness, and sincerity is important in your spiritual growth. Sets this divine imaging power into motion. Show me, just like in the song that Kathy did earlier. Show me. Let me see you. Let my heart see you. That's sincerity. So we have as Rapali mentioned, we have the male and female. I thought that if I'm going to do that this year, I want it to be balanced, you know. And so we have the male and female examples from Scripture. Bartholomew, also known as Nathaniel, I don't know why, and Anna, who was a prophet. So we're going to take Anna first. The metaphysical meaning of her name is grace or graciousness itself. So you can, in your mind, you can imagine what somebody might look like whose metaphysical meaning was grace. Okay, that demeanor. She was a widow at a young age, and so she spent much of her adult life living in the temple, actually living there. And she prayed several times a day. In other words, she had this routine that she did. It was in today's world, we might say that she lived in a convent, you know, where they have that routine of praying several times a day. And she is of the house of Asher. Asher was one of the boys that was born to Jacob, you know, the 12 that represented the tribes of Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel. Isn't that interesting? We have 12 tribes, we have 12 disciples, we have the 12 powers, or something about that number, right? And we'll get into that too sometime. So she was an intuitive. You know what that is? She could see, she could know things. She could know what was going on. She could feel the vibrations. So at Jesus's birth, she spoke about there is a boy child named Jesus being born now, who is going to redeem Israel. And so this was her. She was like a soothsayer in those days. They might have called her that. Her father's name was Phanuel, Phanuel, of the tribe of Asher. And he had this means the quality of loving that resides in the soul. It's like innate in the soul. And it's always established first in the soul. My soul longs for whatever. So metaphysically, Anna represents one aspect of imagination, of course, a certain conservation of spiritual life. And when I say conservation, today we think of environment, don't we? But in that term, it's sort of like it's the work that we do in our spiritual life in this lifetime isn't wasted. It is stored in the soul, and it's built up like your bank account, you know. And so as the soul reincarnates, now you may wonder, did Unity ever believe in reincarnation? It's right there. As the soul reincarnates, it comes in already having certain attributes of development, of spiritual development, and it keeps building on that and building on that. So what this tells us, so that with this building up of spiritual energy within the soul, is that nothing is lost in the evolution of the soul. Isn't that interesting to you? It was just so interesting to me when I was doing my research about this. Everything that we do in this lifetime, if the soul decides to reincarnate, will be carried over. So look at all the lives ahead that we may be helping with this life. I don't know. I just kind of went with it. My imagination went with it. You know, picked up the ball and carried it. Okay, so that's the female part of the soul, where everything that we do is conserved, it is saved, it is our bank account. Everything is spiritual. So Bartholomew means the son of Tholomew, because the bar means that. He was introduced to Jesus by Philip, who we talked about last month. And when Philip wanted to introduce him, let's call him Nathaniel because that's the story in the Bible. So he said, Nathaniel, I want you to meet this new preacher here. He's really great, and I think he's the Messiah. And so Nathaniel says, where's he from? And Philip says, he's from Nazareth. And Nathaniel says, has any good ever come out of Nazareth? And so it must have been on the other side of the tracks or something, because it had a reputation for some reason. So anyway, as soon as Nathaniel Bartholomew had met Jesus and talked with him for a while, he knew in his heart that this man, he could see that this man was the Messiah. So Ptolemy means a furrowed field. So why would you go out and plow up a field? Because you're going to plant something, right? So that is an act of imagination, isn't it? When you plant something, the seed itself is full of imagination. It has imaginal cells that have it grow up. You plant wheat, you get wheat. You plant corn, you get corn. It is so when you plow a field, aren't you imagining what it's going to look like when it's time to harvest? So this is imagination. Imagination works in symbols, though. And sometimes when we have a dream or get symbols, we think, what does this mean? But it's up to us to figure that out. Jesus, when he first met Nathaniel, he says, oh yeah, I saw you sitting under that fig tree. Now, there was no way that Jesus could have seen that in person because he had just met him. But by seeing him under the fig tree, he was what? He was a seer, Jesus was. So he could imagine this. But, my mind didn't stop there. It was like, well, the symbol of the fig tree is prosperity. That's what it's known for. You plant a fig tree. I've got a little fig tree planted in our house, for prosperity. And so when I was thinking maybe Jesus was thinking about needing some money for his ministry. Aha, sitting under a fig tree. Maybe this guy is prosperous. So I don't know, just guessing on that, filling in the blanks. But see, that's where my imagination took me. So they each expressed their power. Bartholomew through his devotion and understanding of the Messiah, and Anna through her devotion and dreams and intuition. She could see a possible future. To spiritually understand these images in order to interpret them, she could do that. And so it was, people say it's a gift, but at the same time, if you are constantly in a religious life like she was, it is something that automatically happens. It really does. Now I'm going to lay this on you, and I want you to take a breath, because this is imagination is absolutely necessary to spiritual transformation. It can't happen without imagination. Breathe on that. Okay. So we're good that you're here, right? Glad I'm here. So through dreams and visions, used extensively by the early church. And so Charles Fillmore wrote about this. And he said, Charles Fillmore is one of our co-founders, for those of you who are new to Unity. The Spirit of Truth projects projects pictures that, rightly understood, will be a short guide for all people who believe in the omnipresence of mind. And so imagination is proof of the omnipresence of mind. It's always with us. Remember, we have access to it 24/7. The story about this omnipresence of mind occurred to me. I remembered this from hearing about it a long time ago. These Indians in the Amazon, they were being studied by, I guess, some anthropologists and about their culture and how they did. When they got up in the morning, they would all sit around in a circle, the community, the tribe, and they would talk about their dream. And they all had the same dream, but with just a little bit of a different twist. And so they would talk about it until it got resolved as to what the symbols meant, and it guided the tribe. But they did this every day. So when I heard about it, I had a friend who at that time was a family therapist, and I went to her and I said, "Is that true? Everybody had the same dream?" I said, "That's impossible." And she said, "Oh no, as family therapy, when we start talking to every member of the family, they all have a similar dream a lot of times." And so I was so interested in that, because people in the same house, divine mind is there with them, omnipresent mind. Symbols, amazing. It's the only universal connect of communicating ideas. I'll read this again. It's the only universal and correct, means of communicating ideas is through symbols, right? You can go to a foreign country and you can tell where the ladies' room and the men's room is, because it's a uniform. It's a symbol, right? Most of the time. Once in a while. Okay, so the healing of Myrtle, another thing with imagination. Last Sunday, Reverend Marcia talked about Myrtle's healing experience. And what did it depend on? Imagination. She got to a certain point where she wasn't as sick anymore, but she still wasn't rid of the TB that she had. And in a meditation, she said, "I've done all these things. Why am I still sick?" And she got back in the meditation, let go of your virtues. Because she had said, "I've done this, I've been good about this, I've been nice to those people I don't really like, I've done this, I've done," and on and on and on. And let go of even that. Because what was that? That was your ego. You have to let go of that ego. Let go of my ego, right? And so when she did that, then she was healed. She had to surrender everything, even what she thought was so good about herself. Imagination. So she imagined every organ in her body. She imagined every cell in her body being healed and vibrant and full of energy and working perfectly and all that. And that is what healed her. There's another story from the Bible, and I'll try to make it quick because some of these stories are long. It's a story of Saul of Tarsus. Do you know who he was? He turned out to be the Apostle Paul. Okay? So Saul of Tarsus was an attorney, and he worked for the Sanhedrin, which was the governing body of the Hebrews at that time. And he was going around, and they were raiding Christian meetings, and they were putting people in jail for doing it, and some of them were put to death. So he was a really good Jew, and he didn't want any of that going on. And so he was on a horseback, and he and his men were riding up to Damascus in Syria. and they were going to do some house cleaning up there. You know, that was what they intended to do. So when he almost got there, this extremely bright light, like this bright light, and this big noise happened, and Saul fell off of his horse and fell to the ground. And the soldiers that were with him also heard this noise and saw the bright light. But what Saul also heard in his head was, "Why are you persecuting me?" So the soldiers go and they pick him up, and he stood up and he opened his eyes and he couldn't see. He was blinded by that light. And so now this story is rich with metaphysics, and I'm not going to go into it, but I'm just going to go into the literal story, because it can tell, we can get from that at that same time too. So they took him on into Damascus. And so then this voice visited him again. He went 3 days and 3 nights without any food or water. He was just completely a mess. Couldn't see. And the voice said, "I'm going to send a healer for you. Be ready." So simultaneously, this omnipresence was talking to this guy named Ananias. And he was one of the Christian people. He was one of the people who, when they found out that Saul of Tarsus was coming their way, they kind of like closed all the curtains and made sure that they didn't go out or to be arrested or anything like that. They were afraid of him. So here's this voice coming in the middle of the night, waking up. He goes, and he had this faith, and he goes, "Yes, yes, Lord," like that. And so the voice said, "I want you to go to this house on Straight Street." By the way, that street is still there in Damascus. On Straight Street, and I want you to heal Saul of Tarsus. He's blind. And can you imagine Ananias getting this message in a dream? And he go, "I'm supposed to go heal this guy who then will turn around and want to kill me, and my friends, and and the whole thing." And I can just see him in today's language. He goes, "Seriously?" And so then he did. He said, "Okay," got dressed. He went out in the dark, in the night, and went to this house, knocked on the door. He said, "Saul is expecting me." And he went in and he did the laying on of hands. And as the story says, and the scales fell away from Saul's eyes. And so you know what happened after that. Saul was baptized. He changed his name because he had a spiritual transformation. Called himself Paul. He went and ministered to many, many communities all around. You've heard Paul's gospel to the Romans, to the Galatians, to the Corinthians, keep going. And so all of those are in the New Testament, all of the letters. And he really had it down pat. He knew what the Christ meant. He knew about the energy that had transformed him. And so he knew all of it. Try to find my place here. Let's see. Okay. So that's Paul and Ananias, and I've got some more examples, and I hope you're are you up for like another example of this from True Life? Okay. So the mind formulates into thought images every idea that arises in it. So, how many of you have worried about your teenagers getting home and this past curfew, and where are they? And so what do you imagine? I don't even want to go there. Yeah. and then tries to express it in language, and language doesn't do it, does it? Have you ever had an experience that's so wonderful and you tried to tell somebody about it, and it just lost everything? It just lost it. There's also something called intelligent seeing, and it's a form of spiritual imagination. And I'll try to be brief with this because it's something that happened to me about 30 some years ago, and I can't believe I'm standing here telling about it. But I used to be an engineering consultant in the Orlando area, and I had a client whose workers had spilled some chemicals, and they couldn't get into these canals, and these deep canals that are V-shaped and very deep, and so they didn't know what to do, and so they called me, and I went out and I looked at it, and we tried to get these chemicals to be mixed into these canals. We couldn't do it because they were so deep and steep, and we tried a lot of things. So at the end of the day, I went home and really was looking forward to my meditation. I was doing a special meditation at that time that my spiritual teacher had taught me, and it involved sitting on the floor and doing some arm movements, and then eventually going over, and being on my hands and knees with my forehead on the floor. Okay, so try meditating in that position. But I had used it so much that it was very, very relaxing for me, and I knew I wanted to do that. I wanted to be relaxed and everything. So at the time I thought I fell asleep. But and then I was jarred into this image that I saw, and symbols, right? You have to figure it out. So do you know how kids, those little cups that have a straw in it, and kids will blow on it, and it blows their milk into bubbles, like chocolate milk or something like that. Well, that's what I saw in my mind's eye. I saw milk bubbles, chocolate milk bubbles, just bubbling up, like boiling up. And I knew exactly what to do. I went to the phone. I called my client. I said, tomorrow at 6 in the morning, I want compressors every 50 feet along that canal with a hose going into the very bottom, weighted by a concrete block. I had it all, and I said, I want you to turn them on at 6 o'clock, and I'll be there at 8. I mean, it was just like, I didn't say, what if this doesn't work? I didn't say I'm going to lose my reputation or anything like that. I'm just like, that's it. That's what we're trying. So the reason I had him do it at 6 is because I figured there would be sulfur dioxide on the bottom, in that deep part that doesn't get much air to it. And so it would be gassing out, and it always gave me a headache. So I wanted it all to be done by the time I got there at 8 o'clock, and it was. Barely, you could smell that sulfur just a little bit. So I knew it would work. It bubbled air up, and so it was able to mix the chemical in there and neutralize, so that my client did not have to pay $1 million a day for polluting the downstream area. So then that I had no idea that this was going to come up when I was doing this on imagination, but that was imagination, and that was a symbol, wasn't it, of that chocolate milk bubbles, and everything. But it showed me what I needed to do was to get air down there, and it would circulate the water. Even Einstein, what did he say? Imagination is more important than knowledge. Do you know that he did the whole theory of relativity in imagination? There was no space flight. There was no way for him to prove it. But he did it mathematically and he did it through his imagination. And now it's proven as correct. That was what we call intelligent intelligent seeing. So, okay, all of those. Let's get practical. I've got just a few more minutes to finish this. We have underdeveloped imagination. We all have imagination, right? Everybody does. It's your power. You're born with it. Whether you use it or you're aware of it or you're conscious or not, that's immaterial. You're still using imagination. So underdeveloped imagination, and this story about these people looking for a house, and they had a checklist, and they found everything in this house that they looked at that was on their checklist, except the husband said, I can't live in this house. And the wife says, why? And the true story, he says, because that green wall in the kitchen, I couldn't live with that. That would drive me crazy. What would you say? What would you say to that person? Paint it. Yes. Paint that wall. Okay, that's underdeveloped imagination. So then overdeveloped, and I just mentioned that. We know what that is because it's like when you worry, when you're anxious, hypochondria, I think I'm sick. And then expanded imagination, consciousness, as we use imagination to make changes in our lives, to change our attitudes, to reach our goals, and our spiritual practices, with our relationships, and with our relationship with spirit. Attitude is so important. I read in the paper last week they did this study on longevity, and they found that there was some of these people who had diseases, life-threatening diseases, never felt sick, and so they did more study. They pulled them out of the study and studied them, and found out what it was is their attitude. They were resilient. They were adaptive. Some of them actually had advanced Alzheimer's but never showed any symptoms. In their brain. Yeah. It was, and so science is now catching up to unity, right? We've always said, get your attitude up. Yeah. So it's a part of the creative process. You imagine what your project is going to look like when it's done. When you paint that green wall, it's going to have a nice soothing color over it. You've got this in your imagination. So remember, we have free access to God 24/7. Therefore, we have free access to divine imagination. Use it. Have fun with it this month. Go out and look at clouds. Today, I was practicing it when I drove here, and I thought, okay, I'm telling them to look at clouds. I'm going to look at the clouds. And I looked up, and here was Dumbo, the little elephant, and it was so cute, the little upturned snout and the great big ears in this cloud. And then I was just telling Kathy before we got started. I said, and look at tree trunks, especially the ones that are kind of gnarly and everything. And we both looked outside and we both saw this pig, and everything. So do that. Look at rocks. There are a lot of rocks around here in Gainesville, all this kind of topography that we have. And so look at that. See if you can see the face of an animal in rocks. This is what it's all about. That's exercising your imagination. And if you see a pig, like we both did, what is the message that pig has for you? You think, what is it? What is it about pig? They're pretty strong. They're pretty bossy. Kind of works, doesn't it? Okay. So you can be strong, healthy, wise, and lovable. You just imagine it. All you have to do is imagine it, and it comes. It is. It makes it real. Leave you with this thought. The Roman emperor philosopher, they say he was the last of the good Roman emperors, Marcus Aurelius. He said, the soul is dyed the color of its thoughts. So what color is your soul? You can think of it. And before I asked you what color were your thoughts? What is the color of your soul? And it might be a rainbow. Who knows? But when you go into meditation, try it this month. Okay? And with that, I say Amen. Thank you. And we're going to go into meditation now. Kathy's going to do a song, and then we're going to go into a meditation. Okay. We are running late. I wonder if we have any kiddos here today. Okay. All right. I think I'll sit over here and meditate with you.
So Joni Mitchell wrote this song when she was flying in an airplane, looking at the clouds and thinking about how they look different from above than they do from below. Or even when you're right in the middle of them when you're flying on the airplane. So I'm just going to sing that verse about clouds. Bows and flows of angel hair in ice cream castles in the air and feathered canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun. They rain and snow on everyone. There's many things I could have done. I let clouds get in my way. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow, it's clouds' illusions I recall. I really don't know clouds at all.
Thank you, Kathy. And just a very quick meditation technique that I would just like to leave with you. If you close your eyes, and this is to stimulate the third eye, the what some religions call the third eye, and what Unity calls the imaginal, the eye. As you breathe in through the nose, and well, first of all, focus your mind, focus your attention on that part of the forehead between the eyebrows. And then as you breathe in through your nose, imagine yourself taking that breath to that point, to that area in between the eyebrows. Feel that stimulation. Feel that stimulation of that area of your forehead. And then this realization, I am being dreamed into existence by a divine power so forceful that all I need to do is to get out of its way so that it can be successful. I am grateful. And it is so. Amen. Okay. So Polly, what do I do next? We're a little bit off because of the length of my talk. Yeah, okay.
We just did a song. We're ready to move on.
Okay. You have another song, Kathy?
This is the time for the offertory, and it is the time in our service when we offer back for the spiritual good that we receive. Ezra in the book of Malachi says, as we bring our tithe, to test and see if God will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so many blessings that there will not be room enough to store them. Let's give from our heart, using our imagination consciousness to see these floodgates opening and blessing our church home as we offer whatever is ours to give from our time, talent, or treasure. Due to our COVID restrictions, we do ask that you drop your offering in the baskets here by the entrance. If you wish, there are many other ways to give, whether through the website's online link, through the link in the chat room, or through using Amazon Smile account, or simply through mailing directly to our church. So with love and gratitude, let's say the offertory together. If you wish, you may take the offering in your hands and simply place it upon your heart. And we speak this blessing together. Divine love, expressing through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And now let's also use that sixth power of imagination to see the children swarming up the aisle again, running up to the platform with Gwen as she shares the lesson of the day. Yes, we manifested Gwen. And let's see the young adults under the leadership of Gary Coleman again sharing their truth. Remember, we are all children, so let's say the blessing. Children, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we see you doing wondrous things. We love you, we really, really love you. Mwah! And now Carla will offer the closing prayer, and Jackie Tatum, our prayer partner of the day, is also available at the end of our service for half an hour for any individual prayer you may seek.
In gratitude for this day, in gratitude for this meeting, I am grateful. Let's all say that together. I am grateful, and it is so. Amen. Go forth and practice.
So if you want to stand up, I think we could even make a circle. If you all want to hold hands, you can, or if not, that's okay too. And we're going to sing our peace song, Let There Be Peace on Earth. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.